All right, everybody, let's talk about Singapore. So, I hope I get some good karma for saving this flag. This Singapore flag on their National Day celebration, which was back in August, I think. I found a lot of these flags. I mean, they had flags everywhere. And I saved this flag from the dirt, from the ground. I later heard that it is a punishable crime in Singapore to do anything bad to the flag. So I hope I got some good karma points for saving this flag. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I've turned into a little bit of a Singapore fanboy. I just did a trip last week back to Singapore from where I'm now based out of Chiang Mai in Thailand. And I gotta say, the differences from Chiang Mai and from Thailand to Singapore are striking. And while during the 3.5 months that I was there the first time in Singapore and that I was living there, I wasn't in love with a lot of things about Singapore, especially the mosquitoes and the heat. I've definitely come to appreciate Singapore more, having now spent, soon it'll be about 3 months in Thailand. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. When I flew back to Singapore to visit some friends and to just catch up with some people, I was hesitant because I was thinking, I've already been there, and wouldn't it be nice to go somewhere new? But for me, it became really clear that community, friends, deep relationships, diving deeper into a more meaningful emotional connection that I'd already built with Singapore and the people there, this was going to be more meaningful for me than going to somewhere new and seeing another city and another church and another temple and another walking night market and that sort of stuff. I really felt like, for my heart and for my soul, I just want to slow down. I really want to slow down. And I'm really glad I did this, because going back to Singapore really reinforced for me some key points about the blue zone topic for Singapore. And I want to bring up this concept and this idea. They used to talk about this in America as this shining city on the hill, that America and the freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of demonstration and protest and gathering, and the innovation in America, that this was this shining city on the hill, this beacon of light in the dark. And while that might have been true once upon a time, I think places like Singapore are perhaps more relevant, more modern, shining cities on the hill. And when I mean shining, I mean like Japan, it is spotless, clean, impeccably clean, and just generally quite things work. I mean, if we get down to it, at the end of the day, people ultimately often just want to live in a place where they can live, where things work, where they feel safe and secure. This is something that I think is very key. I mean, politics aside and personal preferences aside, people ultimately, at the end of the day, want to have a safe and secure and stable place to live. And for quite some time, to be honest, that could have been a place like, let's say, America. But I think the stability and the safety has dropped down a bit. And I know Singapore has its own problems. I know that there's also a lot of people, I even heard it from some Singaporeans while I was there, that would have said that Singapore's wealth and Singapore's success is a bit hollow, that there has been an unbelievable amount of, potentially, some level of dirty money laundering coming from China, coming from India, coming from the Middle East. And that level of extreme foreign investment in Singapore has helped it grow, has helped it become this shining city on a hill. But as we know, Singapore is an island and it's flat, no hill involved. But anyways, point just being, on the surface things look squeaky clean. Below the surface, I think like a lot of places, like a lot of countries, and a lot of, even where I'm at right now in Thailand, it might be a little bit more dirty behind the scenes. And let's be honest, that is the reality for a lot of places and a lot of countries, even in the West. So my point is that coming from Thailand, when I hear 2025, I still think of like Star Trek and sort of Blade Runner and cyberpunk sort of stuff. It feels so advanced to me. And here I am in Thailand, generally actually a middle to low income country when it comes to wealth and prosperity. And a lot of the times, sidewalks non-existent. Clean, safe drinking water, running drinking water, non-existent. People, myself included, getting sick from just eating food around the area. You know, these are things that I did not experience in Japan and I did not experience in Singapore. And these are things that a lot of us take for granted wherever we live, or especially in the West. Modern, developed, and even, you know, borderline sustainable infrastructure. So again, you know, I think I just wanted to give a shout out. I don't, just like my visit to Dubai, I know that there are probably some dirty and very undesirable parts of Singapore and how Singapore developed. And I know there's probably also been a lot of scandals, and I read about some of those. But I just want to give a shout out and a big little thumbs up to Singapore that, you know, I have to say, in the end, I really quite liked my experience there. If nothing else, to just, again, learn about a modern 21st century developed city, nation, city-state, and what things can look like when you have a government that is actually working for its citizens, a very low corruption government that is doing things for its people. I mean, it's terribly, terribly refreshing for me to see after many years of living in countries where you don't really get that sense and people are very unhappy and unsatisfied, and you can see it around you. So kudos and big props to Singapore for doing a good job and generally trying to make life better for its people.